Hi guys, it's Queenie here, and today I've got a new video. Right, legendary missions. Have you had that feeling where you push into a room and suddenly everyone is shooting at you at once? And it just feels completely overwhelming? Yeah? Well, this build fixes that, because instead of damaging the room, we are going to stop the room, form, status, effects, creeping death, and nobody gets to shoot back. So let's do it. Alright, before we get into the gear, let me just explain a little bit about this build. It's actually doing, because it's not a damage build and it's not a tank build. It's a crowd control build, what people in the community call Division 2 form build, or sometimes a Division 2 status effect build. And you're probably wondering, what is Eclipse Protocol? What does this gear set? What does it do? Well, I'm about to tell you that. Eclipse Protocol actually amplifies your status effect. Every time you apply a status to an enemy, form, burn, bleed, shock, that enemy takes increased damage from every source. And the more pieces of Eclipse you are wearing, the stronger the bonus gets. The Scorpio is an exotic shotgun, and what makes it generally perfect for this build is that every single pellet is a different status effect. And Eclipse actually amplifies every single one of those. That is actually the core loop. And once you understand that, the whole build just makes sense. Right, let's go take a look at the gear and see what it's all about, shall we? Alright, my build consists of 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol, BTSU gloves, and an Electrique backpack with creeping death. I also run with the Scorpio, but let's dive right into it and go through the gear pieces. I run 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol. 2 pieces gives us 15% status effects, 3 pieces gives us 15% skill haste, and 30% hazard protection. 4 pieces gives us this talent, indirect transition. Your status effects now spread on kill to all enemies within 10 meters and refresh 50% of the duration. So basically, every kill we get, the form is actually going to keep spreading. And we have got status effects and a skill haste mode. The chest piece has its own little talent, but as you can see, I've got status effects and skill duration. The talent is proliferation, increases indirect transmission, ranges from 10 meters to 15 meters, and refresh percentage from 50% to 75%, which means having the chest piece is an absolute must. I've got the holster, it's got status effects on, and knee pads with status effects. We have the BTSU. BTSU gloves actually comes with skill haste and repair skills. The talent on them is Transference Overclock, grants plus 15% Hive skill haste per skill tier. Detonating a Hive refreshes your skill cooldowns and grants overcharge for 15 seconds. If at skill tier 6, this effect also applies to all allies. Allies receiving this effect are unable to benefit from it again for 120 seconds, which is around 2 minutes. The backpack we're actually using Electrique. The brand set gives us an extra 10% status effect, and we have status effect and skill haste on it, and a skill duration mod. Our talent is creeping death. When you apply a status effect, it also applies to all enemies within 8 meters of your target. So basically, our form's just gonna keep spreading and spreading and spreading, which is really, really good. I run the Chem launcher with Restore Hive, so we've got some kind of healing. I have the specialization for the build, which is Survivalist. I run the Scorpio, and the Scorpio's talent is Septic Shock. Remember when I was going on about status effects and how Eclipse Protocol amplifies the status? This is why shooting a target applies stacks of venom, which last for 10 seconds. Increased stacks adds more severe debuffs to the target. 2 shots is poison. 4 bullets is disorient. And 6, my favourite, shock. 9, target takes additional 20% damage from all sources. Stacks no longer increase. I have this stage left with Sledge, so I can actually apply extra damage applying Sledge to large groups if needed. I also run with the Quick Step for extra 20% movement speed. Alright, let's get back over to the Fortune. Let's see what this build can actually do. Let's go back to the weapons that I've actually got in my build. As I previously said, we are running the Scorpio, and this is actually at the heart of the build. The Scorpio is an exotic shotgun, and it uses different statuses, and Eclipse Protocol amplifies every status, and enemies just fall apart very, very quickly. It is literally quite funny, because I love this build. But you're probably thinking, where does the Scorpio drop? Which mission? I can actually tell you that if you farm retaliations, you can actually get a blueprint and you can just craft it. We don't need to go and farm it these days because we've just got retaliations. For skills, we are actually running Riot form and the Restore Hive for a bit of heals. I can literally just show you here. I am now going to show you something how form just tears the ads apart. We've got form and we have bleed from one of my teammates running ongoing directive, and everyone has bleed bullets, so that status effect is also going to get amplified. Right, we need to keep an eye on this door. As soon as the door opens with form, my team will shoot them, and you see how quickly they die. And then we will form in again for the next spawn. They are just getting torn to shreds, not having a chance to shoot us. Form them again. This is the last spawn. This build is literally just so much fun. The ads are literally just getting shredded by us. I reckon you should give it a go. Try it, see how much fun you have with it. Alright, on this numbers talk, because I always do this, I want to be transparent. This build will not have the highest DPS numbers in the game. If you're looking for a build with one shots, everything, well, I'm sorry to say, this is not it. What this build is aiming is to keep you alive and enemies under control, especially on legendary missions where enemies hit really, really hard, and being in the open for 2 seconds can kill you. Crowd control is sometimes generally more valuable than raw damage. So do not look at your damage numbers and think something is wrong. Look at how long enemies are staying formed. Look how rarely they're actually shooting back at you. That's where this build actually wins. Let's have a look at how to use this build. Let's talk about how to actually run this in practice, because the gear is one thing, but if you do not know how to use it, you are going to have a bad time of it. Step 1, chem launcher first. Push into new room. We are not just going to walk in shooting, we are going to throw the chem launcher at anything first. Get many ads on that form as possible. Let creeping death spread it, then we're pushing. This is actually the key difference between this build working and not working. If you walk in shooting first, you're in a firefight. If you can throw a chem launcher first, then you're walking into a room full of formed enemies who cannot shoot back at you. That is much nicer. And what I find from experience is actually, if you know the spawn locations from where the ads, you can actually spawn trap them as they come out of their spawn doors. Step 2, use the Scorpio to apply even more status effects and finish off the formed targets. When an enemy is formed, they cannot move, they cannot shoot. We can just walk up to them and end it for them. It's really satisfying. Step 3, if things go wrong, restore a hive is your best friend and is your reset button. Pop it and get your armor back, reposition. We are not trying to be heroes. If we wipe, and we go again. And the last thing, stay mobile. This is a crowd control build, which means we are moving around the room, spreading foam, controlling space. This is not a build where you sit behind cover and peek and shoot. We are actually taking full control of the room. Tip 1, farm Eclipse Protocol for missions, open world, countdown, summit, retaliations. Tip 2, I would just farm retaliations for the Scorpio blueprint and craft it if you don't have it. Once you have creeping death working, you'll start to feel when you need to throw the Riot form and when to use the Scorpio. It's basically just down to practice. I know, fine, well, you get it. It took me some time to get used to it and learning. Do not overthink it. Try not to forget about the Restorer Hive. I have ran this build and the Hive is just sitting there inactive just because I forgot I had a Restorer Hive on. This happens quite frequent with me. I just forget what builds I'm actually running. That is actually the full Eclipse Protocol form build, and honestly, if you have been struggling with legendary missions and you want something to keep enemies controlled and keep you alive, this is actually one of the best options in the game right now. The second best option is the Seahorse build. If you've got any questions about the build, drop it in the comments. I'm always happy to help. If this video has helped you, drop the channel a like. Every little bit helps this channel grow. So thank you in advance for that, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.